Alright. We're recording everywhere now. We're even here. Oh, man.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Thinking Outside the Longbox. I'm Gabe.
I'm Doyle.
I'm Tim.
I'm Juan.
And today, we are doing our pop culture classic where we are going to be talking about Old Boy.
Old Boy.
Juan, why don't you tell us a little bit about Old Boy?
Old Boy is a
God,
2003 South Korean neo-noir action thriller film co-written and directed by Park Chan-wook. It is based on the Japanese manga of the same name written by Garan Tsuchiya and illustrated by Nobuaki Minegishi.
For sure.
Fuck that all up. I'm sorry, guys. Old Boy is the second installment of the Vengeance trilogy, preceded by Sympathy of Mr. Vengeance and followed by Lady Vengeance. I had no fucking idea.
And they are
that.
also fucking amazing movies. This is actually, probably of the three, this is actually probably the least violent of the three. No, I think maybe Mr. Vengeance is a little less violent, but Sympathy for Lady Vengeance is fucking ridiculously violent.
The film follows the story of Oh-da-soo, who is imprisoned in a cell which resembles a hotel room for 15 years without knowing the identity of his captor or his captor's motives. When he's finally released, Dae-soo finds himself still trapped in a web of conspiracy and violence. His own quest for vengeance becomes tied in with romance when he falls in love with an attractive young sous chef, Midu. And it spawned a 2013 American sequel starring Josh Brolin or Thanos.
Which we were supposed to watch.
Thanos.
I don't know that we were. I think we just were like, if you watch it, cool, but...
So, like, at one point I pledged to never watch this movie, like, personally.
This one or the new one?
The new one.
Oh, okay.
Because, like, it's the same reason I haven't watched the remake of...
So you've never seen the new one?
No.
Oh, wow.
I
thought you just hadn't seen it recently.
What's the vampire movie? Let the Right One In. I've never seen Let Me In either. Like, it doesn't make sense to me to make, like... okay, so, backing up. When Ring came out, it was really good. And then I found out that it was based on a Japanese movie, and I watched that instead. And I liked it marginally better. They're both really good movies, but it didn't make any kind of sense to me to make a movie that already exists and just, like, supplant it with, like, English-speaking actors and do the exact same thing. Like, that's really weird. It didn't work when they did it with Vince Vaughn to do Psycho, and it doesn't really work with Ring, and it didn't really work...
I don't know, I kind of like Vince Vaughn's Psycho.
I think Ring was pretty popular when it came out.
No,
too.
I'm not saying they're not popular. Like, I'm saying... It seemed, for me personally, this is just a weird personal thing. I would much rather watch, like, the movie that already exists and just read the subtitles than something that's just the exact same thing with people speaking in English.
Yeah, but wouldn't you think that how I feel about it is more that they're because I never knew the Ring existed or Ring You. I would have never known the Ring You existed. That's what I'm saying. Do you think that what they're doing is, in bringing it to an American audience, just helps the older version because most people will probably go watch the older version?
No, they won't.
I don't know.
I don't think that history really bears that out. Like, a lot of people know what Ring is and have no idea. That's probably a bad example. But, like, I bet most
I didn't know about the new Psycho. I knew the old Psycho.
I bet most of the people that saw the American Old Boy have no idea that there's another version of it. Same with Let the Right One In. Like, I've had tons of people recommend Let Me In as a movie to me. I've said, yeah, that's a really great remake of a Swedish movie, I think Norwegian or something, called Let the Right One In. Mm-hmm. And they always go, it is? So for me, what's weird about it is, like... If you take the time when Ringu and Ring came out, it wasn't that far behind when Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon went into theaters with subtitles and won an Academy Award. And, like, I really think...
Did they, just to cut in, was that made at the time it went to the theaters, or was that made a long time ago and then they just brought it to the theaters?
No, it was made at the time.
Okay.
Like, it was one of the first, like... joint Chinese American.
Sure,
film
no, I get that.
productions. And like Ring and Ringu came out within like 2 years of each other or something like that. Like I don't think Ringu's that much older than Ring.
Yeah, I think the
time
lapse was very
so for
quick
me, for me, there was a really big opportunity for Hollywood and movie theaters and filmmakers to normalize subtitles in movies. Because tons and tons of people went to see Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon and they thought to themselves, holy shit, this is a thing that exists, this is really cool. And while there were people that complained about the subtitles, like, people still watched it and it still won an Academy Award. So why remake Ringu when you can just pay for the rights and distribute it, make probably just as much money?
But I don't think that would have happened though. I honestly don't think it would have happened.
A straight up horror movie that's rated PG-13.
I think it would have happened for you in your vision. I think if what you're saying, that the fact that most people didn't look backwards, I don't think that the people who went to go see Ring would have seen Ringu had it just been Japanese and subtitled English.
I don't think so. I don't know that that's necessarily true, especially at the time it was coming out, because like that was the time when like people like Quentin Tarantino and like the kind of indie film scene was becoming like the mainstream film scene. They like really missed an opportunity to just normalize subtitled movies by just making English language remakes of like dozens of movies.
And I just have to assume they didn't think they would make as much money.
Yeah. That's just me. Like it's something that
it's always all about the money. And
it's
probably
it's
why
just
it happened
weird
that
to
way.
me, and I end up not watching American remakes a lot. Like I don't think I've ever seen
Aladdin.
No, I don't think I've ever seen like the Sarah Michelle Gellar Grudge.
Lion King.
I didn't see that because it looked awful, not because I could care less about who made it first. I just looked awful.
I
Which
didn't
one
watch
was that?
the American Dark
The
Water.
Grudge.
The Grudge.
Oh, The Grudge, yeah.
I didn't watch. I haven't seen Old Boy. There's a couple other movies like that.
Old Boy is almost like Old Boy. It's like
See,
almost.
and
That's a weird one. Like
That's what bugs
I
me.
think the ending is different because
So
we'll get into. We should get into it before we start just decimating either which one.
No, I think you definitely. Okay, so
I think there are differences, but it's
before-
very, very close.
Before we talk about Old Boy, it is old. You should have seen it by now. But if you haven't, we start spoiling shit real fast. Because the movie is very unique, and like all the points in the movie are very unique, and they all add up to make a very unique experience.
Yeah.
So just hearing about one or two of them could just kind
So
of
here's the
ruin it.
deal. If you haven't seen
Yeah.
either version, this is one of the very few movies that I would highly recommend you watch it before you listen to this.
Me too.
Because like
It's hard to undo.
it's
the
hard
surprises.
to undo the surprises, and like
It's hard to undo anything.
and the surprises hold almost no emotional weight if you know they're coming. Like they're still fucked up, but if you know, like in the moment you're going ew, as opposed to at the end going oh, my soul is crushed and gross.
Yeah.
I think
Ew.
it's. So I'll be honest. I watched Old Boy, but I could not find an English subtitled version. I didn't want to watch it on my laptop, so I just watched the Korean version, and I just fucking.
Oh,
I
so
was
you
like,
had-
I already knew. I've seen them both already,
Oh,
and
okay.
so I was just like, I think this will be a cool experience. And so to me,
So you watched it with no language at all?
no language. It's just all. No, it was Korean. It was in Korean. I mean,
Well,
but
like,
no.
language you understand.
Correct. Yeah. But I mean, you could.
He knows a little Korean now.
He probably knows car and Toyota.
Suzuki.
He also now knows.
Godzilla!
Stop hitting me with a hammer.
It was cool because it's very I don't know if this is the right term. It's very operatic. It's very like music-y, and I think that's a really cool part of the old one. There's
The original
and that
one.
might be why it's
It's easier to say the original.
the original,
one, 'cause
the 2003 version.
Yeah.
So the original is very artsy,
Very.
Very
and
Very.
the American one is very,
action.
I would say, visceral
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
and less artsy.
You could
Although-
just say very American.
More accurate with a hammer, I feel. There were some parts of Old Boy, the first one, where he hits a dude with a hammer, and I'm like, that dude wouldn't get back up.
But
for sure.
I
And
said
this
this.
one-
I said the same
Yeah.
thing when Josh Brolin's getting hit by 2x4s and shit in the back. I'm like, that motherfucker
See?
is not getting his ass back up
I've been hit by
after
2x4s,
5
it
2x4s.
hurts, but you move.
I don't, buddy. When 15 people are hitting you,
Oh, no, I mean, it's
I
a-
don't think you're getting up.
It's an unrealistic scene altogether. But I'm saying, if you watch the original Old Boy, there's the one where he, like, hooks this dude in the face full on with a hammer, and I'm like, you're done. You're done.
That's a death blow. Like,
Broken jaw, broken neck.
And in the American version, he's just murdering people with that hammer. Like, I was like, that's what happened.
Yeah. Just yeah.
I did watch them. I did
knocking
watch
somebody out with a
almost
hammer.
back to back 4 hours worth
you
of sadness.
imagine 20 years of built up, like, rage? And
No, so
He
here's
worked out for, like, 10 of those years straight. Like,
yeah.
That dude came out a ball of just, like, anger and...
muscle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he gets kidnapped. He goes to prison, I guess, for 15 or 20 years, depending on which one you're
Eats
watching.
just dumplings.
Just dumpling, and then he proceeds to eat more dumplings,
Who
and
hates
it's fucking
dumplings, by the way?
disgusting.
Hey,
I get that you hate dumplings at the end,
Yeah,
but he hated them right off the bat. And I was
it's
like,
just something he doesn't like.
who hates dumplings?
Dude, there's people that don't like pizza rolls. What the fuck's wrong with those people?
Yeah.
We don't know.
Totinas or like handmade pizza
Any.
rolls.
Of course, Totino. What the fuck makes handmade pizza rolls?
The pizza place and all, and they're
Those are
amazing.
not-
Yeah, I get it.
that's
They
different.
make chicken cordon bleu rolls, too.
They're just pizza rolls. What?
No, I mean like the little.
No,
like,
I know what you mean now. That's why I
Like
was
the-
asking.
like
I was
the-
trying to get the differentiation.
Like the pizza version of tiny Chinese egg rolls that you get in a bag frozen, which are
Some
also
people
amazing.
should be.
So I have I have a question, and maybe it's just because the dude is fucking psycho, and that's I think really the answer. But if you find out, if you see me boning my daughter, you know, in the future, or whatever, and I'm like you tell on me. And like I get away with it somehow, and then somehow I end up with like millions of dollars. Like I'm probably at that point just like, phew, fuck, I got away with it. Like it's fine. I'm not like you, motherfucker. Like I feel like that he had a lot of weird like anger because he so successful at this point in his life.
Well, dude, you're talking about the bad guy?
The bad guy, yeah.
Well, I don't. So the bad guy is just crazy.
No, that's what I'm saying. I feel like that's really just
That
the
is the
answer.
answer.
Yeah, I
It's
feel like
not-
that's just
He
the
was-
answer.
He was
But I
born
feel
of
like
incest and
But I feel like if you get away with incest after you've been told on and then you seem to make like millions of dollars, just go on with your life. Like it's fine.
I like how in the American version, whenever the dad is the one that's fucking the whole family. Whenever the dad enters the room, they just start undressing immediately. Like, hey, daddy.
That scene was awful. It looked where he's shooting him with the
dude,
shotgun.
He
It
goes
didn't
into the
look very
daughter's
good.
room,
Yeah.
and the daughter like starts
The graphic
with
looked
a
awful.
smile on her face, and he just shotguns her. And then he goes up. The wife comes down the stairs, and he blows her away. And then the son's like, "What's up, Dad?" Starts unbuttoning his pants. He's like, "Gagoosh," and then puts it in his mouth. And Gagoosh. I was
And his
like,
fucking head just.
it's like one shot of pure just ridiculousness.
Jesus.
I wonder. So the movie is based on a manga, and I wonder if
The
like
A manga.
It's hugely different.
see that's
Also hugely longer.
well, yeah, that's what I figured. I figured it's like, isn't it like 10, 12 volumes or something like that?
Maybe 15. I read it in high school.
I was just wondering, like,
It's
I
a
wonder-
total of 79 chapters.
So that's probably like.
There's like whole like detective scenes, like there's weird shit in the. Well, the manga just has a lot more shit. It takes them a lot longer to figure out what's going on.
Right, because it's a mystery.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
they
a
were
mystery.
and they were going week to week, like in Shonen Jump or whatever. So
They actually had that in our library in our high school.
be kind of cool. I think I'd like to read it. So here's the thing that I really like about this movie, and it goes right to what Doyle was talking about. So in a lot of Asian movies, and it like really goes back to a lot of like the Japanese like noir movies from like the 50s and 60s, where there's like these insane levels of grotesque violence, but they're also trying really, really hard to make like a French film. And so like as a consequence, you get these like the whole Vengeance trilogy is visually stunning and like artistic and beautiful. and full of like grotesque moral quandaries and like insane levels of violence. And like that combination of two things is amazing. Like it's what I like about Italian giallo. It's what I like about like Japanese Yakuza movies. It's what I like about a lot of the Korean action movies, is that like mixture of like highbrow artistic film and lowbrow like B-movie violence. Like it's the coolest thing I think Asian cinema does, and I think Old Boy is probably one of the better examples of it.
I think the violence that's happening is with the overlay of the opera music that's happening actually lends itself really well. It seems very like it seems artistic while dudes are getting mangled and killed, and I think it's cool. I think it's a good addition to the movie.
What's crazy is like I just watched like a movie that does that like in probably one of the more disturbing ways, like earlier this week. But there's this scene where these cameramen in the movie Cannibal Holocaust set like this village on fire just to get like footage for like fake footage for their documentary. So as they're running around killing these tribesmen and setting their huts on fire, there's just like opera playing. And it's like, holy fuck, it's disturbing. Like it's rough to watch because it's from the 70s. It's also like just a trashy, sleazy movie anyways.
Crazy
but
violent as well.
Yeah, but it's the same kind of thing where it like, as you're watching it, you're like, man, this shouldn't go together, but holy shit, this really goes together.
I do think there are some things. I think a majority of things in the Korean version are better, but I do think there's a few things in the American version that are better, in my opinion. Like I like the ending in the American version better, and it's been a while.
So we should go through the movie if you're just gonna spoil the ending really quick.
Oh yeah,
so
spoiler alert. We gave a pretty big one.
There we are. There we are.
Why don't you
he got released. He gets released from prison. He doesn't know why.
So yeah, he's basically like straight up in a hotel room. One keeps saying prison. It is prison, but it looks like an everyday hotel.
Right. He's just locked in there.
Get out.
Right.
Yes.
They take care of him. Like they cut his hair. They do like all sorts of stuff against his will.
Yeah. They gas him every time they need to do something.
Yeah.
But then they feed him. They give him hygiene products.
When they cook his mice family.
Oh yeah, that was sad. That was really sad.
Yeah, he has a mouse, and the mouse has
That's
babies.
it in the American version.
Yeah, it's the only thing keeping him like sane. He like gives
he's
his
like
mouse,
petting him and shit.
He's petting. He's like, take care of those babies, and they gas him, and then his next meal is like a mouse with a bunch of dead baby mice.
Oh wow!
Because he's like, no more dumplings, and then they finds his little mouse. It was pretty sad, bro.
That's fucked up.
So he gets let out of the prison, and he doesn't know why, and so he goes on in the original one. I think it's a 3-day timeline.
I don't remember how long it is. All I know is that he's eating every kind of dumplings he can from around town because he knows that he'll recognize the dumplings that he's been eating as soon as he eats.
So he's on a quest for vengeance.
There's not really an original timeline in the first movie until towards the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, he says you have a certain amount of hours from when the stranger calls him to figure out who you are. In the American one, he wakes up in the suitcase and he's got a cell phone and it's already counting down hours.
Yeah. Okay.
And so he goes on this quest for vengeance to figure out who he is, and in the Korean one he falls in love with the lady who's serving him food, and in the American one he falls in love with the nurse.
Mm-hmm.
Long story short, he finds the fucking dude, and he falls in love with his daughter, and he ends up having sex with her.
The girl that he falls in love with is the one who the evil genius makes him fall in love with, and there's a whole scene.
And it's like, his kid.
There's a whole scene where he's like, "Made you fuck your daughter."
Yeah.
Because you ratted me out for fucking my sister, which ruined our lives. Now you fuck your daughter. It's very South Parkian, where he's like, "Made you eat your parents."
Very much so. Right?
It's like a really big long shot too. Like I mean I know that he set it up to where
a criminal genius.
I was gonna say I know he set it up to where like he made it so that she had daddy issues and shit. But I mean that's to fall in love with somebody in like an instant of a day is pretty absurd to me. I mean he might just fuck her because he hasn't had sex with anybody in like 15 or 20 years. I can probably get that. but like he's like head over heels and just completely in love. I think that's a little far fetched.
I mean, it's also the first person that's cared about him
Right.
at all in 15 or 20 years. So
Yeah.
the same thing that would drive him to have sex with her would probably be the same thing that drives him to be like, I love you now. Like,
but she, after he tries to like rape her, she's just like, oh, it's fine. Like I want to have sex, it's not the right time. Like it's just really weird.
I think a big part of it is it has like a very like Shakespearean or like operatic ethos to it. Like especially the original, the movie is very much meant to be like a morality play as opposed to something that could ever fucking happen.
I mean, if you did like diabolically molest this out into like reality, you are.
Dude, too much spare time.
Yeah.
B, like, you're scary and probably should have been murdered by a guy that's very angry with you.
So,
And C, too much spare time.
Too much spare time, bro.
so where he was going in the Korean version, the main character ends up going supposedly to see the hypnotist so that he cannot remember that's his daughter.
Yeah.
And he doesn't tell her, and then at the end they embrace, and you see this weird fucking half smile, like half painful kind of thing, and you don't really know if he forgot or not.
Yes.
And
Supposed to be open-ended, I've read.
right. And in the American version,
It's like the top.
in the American version, the prize is diamonds, and so he gives his daughter like half of the diamonds and writes her this long note that they can't be together. Go find somebody who loves you. Blah blah blah.
Didn't mean to fuck you.
And then
Loved you this whole time.
and then he uses the other half of the diamonds to put himself back in prison.
Here's the morning after pill.
Yeah, and so so Samuel L. Jackson, who's the prison ward in the American one, is like really, this is what you want? And he just puts himself back in isolation, essentially, and she goes and lives a happy life.
Well, that's a way less interesting ending to me.
Even the other one wasn't that interesting to me, where you just like erase his memory.
Or does he?
That's the thing, and you don't even really know.
Well, that's the thing
like
is,
that's
though,
more like
he-
fucking creepy.
See,
The look on his face tells you that there's more to come in the American version too. When he's sitting in that bed where he's all like, like I was like, this could easily go where he breaks out again and murks everybody.
I mean, I haven't seen it, so like I can't really make a thing. I've always loved how like super ambiguous the end is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, did he just come to terms with himself and say, "Look, I'm a monster, and like I was created to be a monster, so I'm just sticking with it," or does he truly just not remember? But then why does he love this girl?
Are you so
You know,
that
like-
so that was going to be a question. Like I don't know if I could really put you or me in the shoes because I don't really know.
Because
but
they're impossible shoes.
I
to
feel
think
I
about.
feel like I almost feel like if I've been isolated for 20 years and I didn't know, and maybe I'm just fucking insane and I guess that's just the way it is. I guess maybe that's the answer too. But I feel like I feel like I could put it aside and just be like, hey, fuck, I found out you're my daughter. Like, let's put that shit. You know what I mean? Like, it's a crazy shit.
Let's stuff that way
And you know what's crazy? You know what's crazy? That's not even the craziest thing that's happened in the last week. Like, I've been in prison for 20 years.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like you could move forward, but I don't
guys
know.
with a hammer.
yeah.
I had to get out of prison to become a
Genuinely
criminal.
one of the greatest fight scenes of all
Wasn't
time.
even in the news. 80 dudes show up at ER with hammer injuries. Someone's gonna ask questions.
I'm just saying, like, if you're in a street gang that has, like, a gang of people, you don't take them to the emergency
you
room.
probably-
I think you got to at a certain point. I was like, it's
You're like,
too
boss,
many.
I got a fucking hammer, I'm bleeding. Yeah.
Bury that one.
He's dead.
The way he
died of
tortures
massive
Samuel L.
hammer
Jackson too.
Oh, that was cool,
That
yeah.
torture's fucked up.
I don't know.
He draws a bead around his neck and just slowly cuts off like layer on layer of skin all the way around. He tells him he's gonna do it until he can rip his head off with his bare hands.
Yeah.
And
He's
then
like,
he pours
tell me
salt in the
who's
open
fucking
wounds
paying you. And he's just chucking fucking chunks out of his neck.
while pouring salt in it and then washing it out. I was like, that hurts so bad.
Maybe I should watch the American.
I think it's I
probably
think
like
it's
it a
worth the watch.
I just have a weird issue with.
I
Just
don't know that you are right or wrong with the like, would America accept it enough
I think
to just release it?
So
I
I
do
think
know
at the
some
point-
people wouldn't.
for sure.
Yeah.
I just think at the point that American cinema was at right then, they could have done it. Especially if they would have done it with like Ring and like a few other it works better too for genre movies because I think people are more committed to. I heard this movie's awesome. I'm gonna watch it no matter what.
Because I feel like if you would have put up a no name. I don't know where Josh Brolin was in his career, so I'm not gonna lie. But I feel like if you're like, hey audiences, do you want to watch this old cool movie and it's really cool, or do you want to watch this cool new movie that's based off of that, but it has Samuel L. Jackson, it has Elizabeth Olsen, it has Josh Brolin in it. I feel like a lot of people would be like, fuck, I like Samuel L. Jackson, I like Josh Brolin, I'm gonna watch that one.
So you keep saying old, what is the time difference between when the Korean
10 years.
Yeah,
so I didn't know
03 and 2013.
Because like Ring and
5 years I saw.
Ring and The Grudge and stuff like that, they're not that far apart.
It was 1998 and 2003, I think, is what I just read.
That seems about right. I don't know. That's interesting.
I do know I don't feel the same way about anime. I 100% agree with you about movies. Movies are paced enough where I can read them. Some animes, I was like, I don't know how people read this shit. There's 85,000 things going on every minute on the screen.
It really...
Yeah.
How do you read the
I
text?
struggle with Crunchyroll. I can't do it.
It really depends. I know there was a point in time where I could absolutely keep up with all subtitles, but that's because I was almost exclusively watching foreign films at the time. Because I was watching just endless... Yeti!
Oh.
Sophia, you're going to have to get yourself another one.
Will you please move that back?
You're probably going to have to adjust it.
Whoa.
The underdog's like, where's mine?
I wonder if they're watching and that she just saw everything go crazy. Or she's just torturing Hannah. It's okay, Sophia.
No,
Your hair looks nice, by the way.
When we watched the French horror show that I really liked, Marianne, I purposefully watched an English dubbed version because I feel like I'm missing. Even though I'm fine with reading, I read just fine. I just feel like if I'm doing this constantly, I can't commit myself to the show, and that's really the only bad thing for me.
Yeti.
I don't feel a loss for some reason in a TV show. It's just and some animes are fine too, but some animes are just there's 85 people are fighting each other.
Oh no, I 100% get it.
There's a space battle.
I don't think I've watched subtitles of most of Evangelion for exactly that reason.
Yeah, there's a lot of shit.
There's just so much happening and they're talking nonstop.
Even in the old one, there's a shitload of dialogue because they didn't really have a whole lot of production money for drawing things. There's entire episodes in the original season where it's just one background the entire time.
And just talking.
Yeah.
That's another genre where I'm certain percentage of it exists based on fanboyism that I don't get.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Oldboy the original is 82% critics and 94% audience score, and the new version is 39% critics and 37% audience score, which I think is crazy fucking lower than what I experienced.
Yeah, me too. I definitely like the Korean version more. Like I said, there are a few things I like in the American version more.
I think it's tough. I think it's tough to take a movie that's been out for a decade, that has a huge following as it is already, that already has such a good critical reception, and to just say, I don't know if I'm done. Okay, thank you. And to just say, we're gonna redo it verbatim, almost.
It's pretty close.
And a critic, I could see being even more annoyed with that than I am. You know what I'm saying? Because
I just think they're both good.
I don't think there's a critic out there that hasn't seen Oldboy. That's a big part of the problem.
Here's the thing with Oldboy too, is it is so niche. I can imagine swaths of people that I know that will not like this movie. So I think everyone, for the most part, who loves this movie had kind of already seen this movie. And then you get the American version, and it's like, I already watched this movie, and
it was better.
And
I think that's really the problem. Is I think there's a lot. I think there's a lot of people who are just like, I don't want that other thing to exist, so I'm just gonna pretend like, just in case I might like it. Who fucking knows? Maybe I'll hate it. I don't know. And they just don't. They refuse to go see something that may be amazing.
It's for me. It's not even. It's the same. It's the same reason I typically don't reread books. I mean, do I need to see a version of Old Boy with Josh Brolin? No,
You might.
I've already seen a Korean.
You
version.
might though.
Right, but you got to take into account like I don't have all the time in the world, and
No, right, of
definitely
course,
not
of
the budget
course.
to go see like that. If there's 3 other movies in the theater that I want to see, and one of them is a remake of a movie that I already fucking love, I'm not gonna go see the remake. Like it's just not. Why bother? And I get exactly what you're saying, but I guess I don't need to re-experience it. And
I guess for me, I put it in the same place as that. For me, that doesn't ring true because I've seen Terminator 100 times. I've seen Terminator 2 50 times. You know what I mean? There's things that I will, because I know I like them. It doesn't matter. I'll watch. I have the time.
But
So
would you watch an exact remake?
But I don't.
No.
But I didn't
Would
know.
you-
But I don't know that going into it. Is
But
the
would
issue.
you watch an exact remake with just different actors of Terminator?
Probably.
Kind of have already at this
Yeah.
point.
No, but I'm saying like
I probably
like,
would
I mean
though.
like a verbatim.
No, I know.
Like,
I get
beat
what you're
for
saying.
beat. You know,
It would
stars
be-
Vin Diesel instead of Arnold Schwarzenegger. It stars, some famous.
You
kid from
sold
a-
me.
It would.
Yes, the answer for me is yes.
And I-
Because beforehand,
here's
I
the
don't
thing.
know that it's going to be a verbatim. I don't know that it's
No,
not
no,
going to
no.
be worse or better.
No.
But here's-
This is you can't say it. I didn't know it was going to be a verbatim because like that's what Old Boy was, and like that's what Old Boy
was for the most part.
That's what
Yeah,
it
yeah,
was
I agree.
billed as too.
Oh, see, I don't
A
know.
direct remake of the Korean version for an English-speaking audience. Like imagine if you spoke Spanish. Imagine. You got it?
I'm there.
All right.
I'm there. I'm there.
And
You speak Spanish?
you've only seen like ex-Mexican movie, okay, and now or ex-English movie, and you've only seen it in English, okay. Terminator. They remake Terminator with just Spanish language cast that's famous to you, like, but you've already seen both of them. Now you also have a theater full of other movies that you've all.
But I've already seen the remake?
No.
You just said I've already seen both
No,
of them.
you've seen the original, but
Okay.
not the remake.
Okay.
Okay. You have a movie theater full of movies that you have. Yeah, I got myself confused. You have a movie theater full of movies that you haven't seen yet.
Sure.
That also star famous people that you really
Sure,
like.
sure.
Which one are you choosing? You're not going to choose the one that's a direct remake of something you've already seen.
But you're making it seem like I only have that choice at that particular moment in time. I will have time to go watch the remake, and I will.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about for like the critics and audience.
No,
score
sure,
stuff.
sure. I'm
Like-
saying that at some point I will go watch Vin Diesel and some kid make Terminator.
Oof,
I will. Well,
I for sure won't.
I think I would too.
because you never know. It could be
And-
fucking amazing.
My rationale is that I've already done this several times now, what Gabe's described.
Doesn't matter if you
Hey.
live or die by an inch or a mile. Dying is dying. It's all about family.
Come with me if you want to live.
How many times have we seen Godzilla? The Kong vs. Godzilla is gonna be the same fucking story, but it's gonna be amazing because it's Kong and fucking Godzilla. That's why we're gonna go watch it.
Actually,
That's
this-
what I'm saying.
This latest
I'll put it to
iteration
you
of
this way.
Godzilla's been different.
It's been way different.
I'll put it to you this
But
way.
I mean, it's the
And the
same mecha shit.
Mortal Kombat.
I'm in.
Yeah.
Those fucking
Again.
pictures look
And-
Oh, I'm
awesome.
ruining it
Here-
for
No,
you.
no, no.
Here's
You
my
guys-
rationale. Let me finish this
The
rationale
first
real quick.
movie wasn't
Tim,
good.
Shut up.
Tim. The
Here's the
first movie was
rationale.
good. The second movie was
Here's
terrible.
why you remake old
Come on, you
movies
said your
and
ass
why
back in
people
the
go see
hospital.
them. Because they look better. That's
But
it. That's it. That's
this-
and that's all it needs.
This
That's all it
isn't-
needs.
This isn't what Old Boy is. Like,
But you don't know that. You
That
didn't see
doesn't-
the remake.
that doesn't matter.
It was advertised that way.
I get it, but you didn't see it.
And
It
that's-
doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
I know.
If it looks different, has different people, it's a new movie. America dumb. America dumb, new movie. That's what it is. It looks
Getting hurt.
We recognize these actors. We speak the language that's in the film, and it looks significantly
They're
better
not
than
even
its
changing it that much anymore.
than its 10-year-old cousin. I don't agree with
They
it.
took the Lion
but
King and took the best parts out of it.
And I still watched The Lion King, and then I was vastly disappointed, but I still
And
watched
then
it.
everybody saw it.
I'm just saying, direct remakes of movies make no kind of sense to me.
I don't
They
get
don't.
it. I don't get it either.
But they happen, and that's why they.
And
happen.
But if Johnny was like,
Newer, bigger, better.
if Johnny was like, Dad, this new Terminator with
Air
Vin
Force.
Diesel's out, I'd be like, yeah, let's go watch it. And then I'd be like, but
Dude,
check out fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger too.
If my kids ask me to go see it, that's totally different. Because
Dad, let's
I don't- I don't give a shit what my kids want to watch. I'll go watch it with them no matter what. Like, if my kids are
You gonna say
actively
anything
excited
to
about
Mulan?
watching a movie, I'm gonna go watch it.
Dad, I really want to go see the remake of Old Boy. Move
What?
out.
Be like,
Get a
like,
job.
I feel like
Man.
I feel like it opens you to introducing somebody to something that you love.
which is exactly why everybody hates the new Ghostbusters, and I love it.
I
No, I hate
just
the new
don't like the
Ghostbusters.
comedians.
See,
Because it wasn't funny.
I
What?
Yeah,
Too.
that's
But-
yeah. I didn't care for it because it wasn't
I'm
funny.
not 100%.
I love every comedian in that movie too.
Same.
I'm not 100% into it.
Yeah.
It's not my favorite Ghostbusters, but damn, it sure made Hannah excited for the Ghostbusters, so what's not to love about it?
That's
That's
enough.
exactly what he just said about Old Boys.
I don't think you could judge a movie. You just like it because that's cool.
No, I
That's
didn't.
what
I
he
didn't say you
said.
were gonna walk out loving it. I just said that that's the reason you go to the movie. I didn't say you were gonna be amazed. I hated the new Lion King, and because it was exactly the same thing, and they took the fun out of it. But I went to go
all of
watch
the
it.
Disney
I still
remakes
made the
are
time
not
to,
good.
to watch it.
People say Aladdin's good, but I refuse to watch it after Mulan. And
I thought it was good.
No, Aladdin's awful. It was totally awful. They took all the best parts out of it.
I
I just
liked
called
Aladdin.
Mulan something else and changed a few more things, and it would have been an alright movie.
Moo.
And Aladdin's gonna do something
You
that
take
you,
Mushu out of the movie?
Aladdin does something that you really hate specifically, Doyle, where they force feed you female empowerment that wouldn't exist.
Well, they
in that-
also took the bird out, I heard, which is
Did-
like my favorite character.
No,
in
he-
Aladdin.
I mean, he was
Didn't
there, he
exist
just
in
didn't
the
talk
movie
that much.
originally. Wouldn't have existed in that part of the world during that time period anyway, and it's so ham-fisted.
I liked it.
Took out Mushu and Mulan. That's
I'm
it.
I haven't seen Mulan yet. I don't know if it was good or
They
not.
didn't really take out Mushu. They just reimagined Mushu as a
That
phoenix.
doesn't crack jokes like Eddie Murphy.
No.
I mean, it's a
the
real
spirit.
life.
It's
It's supposed to be like a real life version.
Fucking Phoenix is not real either.
No, I know.
It's
I'm with you.
it's a 100% different like version of the movie
Yeah.
with the same basic plot line.
And all the other
It's-
stuff's the same.
No, not really.
I haven't seen it, so I don't
Very
know.
little of it is the
She
same. Other
shouldn't
than
have go. She gone. She ends up becoming the best soldier. She was the crappiest. I mean, like there's different things. Like her trial this time is like water buckets instead of climbing a pole.
no, there's like magic and like a witch and like there's all
Oh well,
sorts.
on the
This-
towards the end.
You know how
There's
she
a
would
quite a
know.
bit of
This-
stuff
this-
in Mulan. that's
This
a lot different.
Mulan felt more like that
Really good.
Keanu Reeves
I did watch the
Kung Fu
movie.
movie.
Yeah.
Was it like 47 Ronin or something like that?
Yeah.
It felt more
Which
like
was
that.
also rough.
I'm just saying, I think that if in this world right now, if you put up a brand new something from Japanese or Korean culture with American actors that are famous, you're gonna go. A lot more people are gonna go watch that,
Yeah,
and hopefully they learn about the other thing.
and that's because
I don't know if they will or they won't. Hopefully they will.
That's because they missed the opportunity to normalize subtitles in American
Yeah,
cinema.
it could be.
Here's an example where it fails.
I don't disagree with
where it fails on its face when you try to remake something. Full Metal Alchemist. They did a live action version. Should have been done with American actors
Because they're German.
because they're German in the fucking
Yeah.
show. And
Yeah.
they used Asian actors,
Racist.
while the guy that plays the colonel with the daughter, he was fucking amazing. Love that character.
Can't risk the racism.
Can't risk the racism. They would have
Even
been
though
like,
it's not racist.
they would have been like,
It's gonna be called racist.
you're whitewashing.
Neil Patrick Harris just came out and disagreed with that. He's like, nah, I feel like you should not hire somebody to play a gay actor just because they're gay. You should put out the best
I
actor to
100%.
play the person.
I think that most of Hollywood agrees with that. It's just we're not in that culture right now.
While Gabe is angry,
I'm not.
why don't you take us out?
Oh,
I liked both versions. I would give both versions a thumbs up. I think you should go watch them.
I think both are worth watching.
Yeah.
Tim hasn't seen either.
I haven't seen either, but I'm probably going to because I like violence and I like
if you like
creepy movies.
If you like just artistic things, like the first movie
is incredible.
I think every shot was designed. Like there are reoccurring patterns, colors.
The whole Vengeance trilogy is like that too.
Everything is like that. So
Lady Snowblood's like that as well. Like it's so. I haven't seen the American one. I'll probably end up watching it now that we've talked about it, just to kind of see the differences. But I would like to reiterate, if you haven't seen Old Boy, you definitely should.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with you.
yeah.
It is one of the most singularly stunning movies that I think has been made in our time. Like, period.
Very good.
It is genuinely, visually, plot-wise, action scenes, like one of the most well-made films.
I've wanted to watch it for a while, but I didn't know how well it would be received.
Yeah, I
knew you were gonna like it. I didn't know you were gonna like it, honestly.
Yeah. It's weird because
I knew Tim wasn't gonna watch it.
I couldn't fucking find it, man.
I sent you a link.
You did?
Yes.
Where was that?
He even was like, I was looking for it. Yeah.
Oh,
He's like, thanks for sending that. I was looking for it.
Because I was doing the exact same thing. I was like going on.
Must have missed that one in the chat.
I tagged you. I was like, Tim, copy and paste this.
Basically, the only way to get a hold of this is to purchase a physical copy on DVD or Blu-ray. And I think, from what I could tell, the only Blu-ray version of it that is like remotely accessible is as a Blu-ray trilogy with
the rest of them.
Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance and Lady Vengeance. Which, incidentally,
Also great films, you said.
also
So,
fucking great films. Like, I don't think they're quite as impressive as Old Boy is, but they're both worth watching. And like the three of them put together deal so much with like morality and ethics and revenge and like how those all play together that it's really hard to overlook them as films. Like if you like film.
I think you should watch them both.
Yeah.
I think they're worth the time. I don't, like I said, for me, just because the new one exists, it doesn't take away anything from the old one. I think it's great in different ways.
Watch the Korean one first though.
Probably will.
All right, watch the Korean one first.
I probably will because that's probably the one Alicia will watch.
Yeah, and
because
it's
everything
older.
I've heard, the Josh Brolin one just sounds too violent.
Oh,
Like for her.
don't tell her.
They're
Just be
both,
like,
dude.
just be like, we're gonna watch this Korean
So-
movie because we
Cuts out
talked
the
about.
Korean
No,
one?
like
also violent.
no, I mean like because it's vintage,
She cuts out
it's an
fucking
older
tongue,
film. She might be able to stomach it more than something that's modern and has modern blood and effects.
Let me tell you no right now.
I'm just
She's gonna get
From a
about.
connoisseur of Asian film. Nuh-uh.
She's gonna get about. I want to say like 40 minutes into this and be like, can we watch something else?
This is a little much.
She's gonna get. You know
This
what?
is a little
We all
much.
know. We can all say it right now. She's gonna get to the hammer in a hallway scene. And just
Yeah.
be like, what the fuck is happening right now?
Come on.
Because like all sorts of crazy shit has already happened by the time you get there, and like all sorts of awful shit has happened.
Oh, it takes out his tongue, bro. I'm
Dude.
like, that's how you're saying sorry? Like, holy fuck, bro.
Like-
Jesus Christ.
And-
You're not going to be able to say you're sorry anymore.
And then you're gonna get to that scene and be like, ho, 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 ho.
Buddy,
oh, his face. Fuck. Oh, his foot. Fuck.
There's a lot of.
well, I feel like she handled John Wick like fuck a champ.
Nope.
No,
Not
no,
a
it's
chance.
not. All right.
Different kind of violence.
Yeah, that's toddler shit.
I feel like
Different
that's
kind-
very over the topy kind of gaggy
I
violence.
just, for me, it's the relentlessness of the violence in the films. I feel like if she could handle John Wick, she could probably handle this.
I don't know Alicia, so I couldn't tell you.
I'm gonna say I can't wait to hear you tell us
You
how
should
poorly that
you
went.
should make a reaction video.
Oh, I don't think she'll like it. I'll be upfront with you. She's not gonna like this movie.
Does she have a problem with incest?
but she'll probably make it through.
Well, on that note, be sure to visit us at totlb.com where you can comment on how into incest you are on all of our social media.
Apparently, Juan's aghast with it.
Yeah, he's like,
It's interesting.
You don't see it that often.
It is.
What?
It's
No.
not fun and it's not normal, but it's interesting.
It
It,
is-
was an interesting concept.
It is a crazy, interesting plot device.
Whenever it's in a movie, it takes the movie and immediately cranks it up to.
I don't remember the last time
no
I saw
matter
the
where
original,
it's at.
and without English anything, when he's flipping through the fucking photo album at the end, you're like, oh, buddy. Like, it's gripping.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, fuck. Like, he has to watch her grow up, kinda.
It's not
Yeah.
just in this movie. It's like the central.
It's the crux
Yeah.
of the movie. Like,
Yeah.
This
anyway.
is the neutron.
Also, you can find us on patreon.com/TOTLB, where you could probably say, please stop talking about incest on the show. And of course,
It's a good movie.
you can go to youtube.com/thinkingoutsidethelongbox, where you will be able to watch a video of this and probably also comment on how much you don't want to listen to us talk about incest. But when it comes to midgets and incest, there's only one guy for the job, and his name's Michael Kirk. Thank God he's dead. Give us a call, 970-573-6148.
Lately, he's been like fidgeting and fucking up fidgeting and fucking family. That's super specific because you have to have family that is a midget.
I know, that's all I'm saying. 970-573-6148.
We just haven't met them. They're locked in the basement still.
The Michael Kirk-
Evilly.
The Michael Kirk Memorial Hotline. He's a ghost.
I'm starting to think this motherfucker doesn't deserve rest in peace.
Yeah, that's why we keep.
It's a ghost!
That's why we keep tormenting him. Until next time, I've been Gabe.
I'm Doyle.
I'm Tim.
I'm one.
I'm Mel!
You need to
Bye.
support us on the Patreon, or we will make you fuck your daughter.
No, that's not happening.
Yeah.
No.
The thoughts and opinions of Doyle are his own.
We got lots of time on our hands. And we'll make up something.
We'll make you revenge.
And we're out.
Revenge eat dumplings.
I don't.
Hey, Gabe.
I feel like after a
Why
while.
is there literally letter E on my fucking furniture?
Because Hannah stuck it to my arm. And
Get it off of there.
No, that's E's. The
E for what?
for
Easy.
Electronic.
E for E is a record player.
Hey, record player.
Oh. Get
Bud.
it off my furniture.
Bud.
Get it off my furniture,
Oh my God.
It's E for excellent record player.
E is a plant.
E is a plant.
You should tell them about
Intro
how I
for
scared the shit
Mr.
out of you
Iglesias.
and Hannah.
It's E
I
for
will.
L
When we
plant.
go to the live
What?
episode, when we talk about the stuff we're
Oh shit! Hold
watching.
on.
What, Henry?